The first thing I noticed when I woke up was how cold the floor was beneath my cheek. Not just the chill of wood or night air. It sank into my bones, sharp and intrusive, making my stomach twist before my mind even had a chance to catch up. I didn't move. My cheek pressed against the grain, splinters waiting like tiny traps. When I tried to shift, pain shot through my arms. My shoulders were pinned at a harsh angle, muscles screaming. My wrists burned, zip ties cutting into skin. My legs were stiff, ankles bound, tingling with that creeping numbness that made every nerve itch. My throat was dry, my head pounding, my body aching in ways I didn't even want to name. I kept my eyes closed. Maybe if I didn't see, maybe if I didn't acknowledge it, none of this was real. The air smelled strange. Smoke, sweat, something faintly sweet. The silence was too thick. A twitch of my fingers snapped the denial. The bindings around my wrists pulled hard, jolting me upright with panic. My heart slammed, every muscle coiling. I was about to scream, and a hand clamped over my mouth, firm, unyielding. Another arm yanked me up from the floor, fast, caging me back into a body that was hot and solid and far too close. I thrashed, kicking out, shoulders screaming with the effort, breath heaving against the grip on my mouth. My heart was a war drum in my chest. My lungs barely worked around it. "Don't scream." A voice rasped low, close to my ear, calm in a way that made it worse. "You're not in danger." I writhed harder. My shoulder cracked with the movement, sending a bolt of pain down my side. I tried to bite the hand silencing me. "Easy," the voice said again, firmer this time. Leo breathed. "You're safe. I swear." He knew my name. Every hair on my body stood up. The grip adjusted, less brutal, more controlling. His chest stayed flush to my back, steady and warm. I felt the rise and fall of his breath. The hand slipped from my mouth slowly, fingers dragging along my jaw like he wanted to linger. I didn't even get a full second to inhale. I opened my mouth again, ready to scream bloody murder, and he kissed me, just like that. His mouth landed on mine, sure and fast, and not even a little uncertain. It wasn't the kind of kiss meant to silence. Not rough, not punishing, but deliberate, possessive, like he knew exactly what he was doing, like he knew me. I froze, caught between fight and something else, something warmer, deeper, treacherous. His lips were soft and way too familiar to miss. My body remembered before my mind did. The tilt of his head, the heat of his breath, the taste like black coffee and mint. Muscle memory answered before I could shut it down. My lips moved with his. For a moment, just a breath of a second, and then I tore myself away like I'd been electrocuted. "What the fuck?" My voice cracked with fury, heart pounding as I whipped my head around. My vision spun before it steadied. Lights spilling from a single floor lamp in the corner of the room, illuminating the room, so I could see him in full glare. He stood maybe 3 feet away now, hands raised like I was the wild animal. His face, his body, that smirk that haunted my sleep for years. "You gotta be freaking kidding me." The man who tied me up, kidnapped me, and kissed me like he owned me was the man I once loved more than anyone else on this planet. The man who vanished without a word. The man I hadn't seen since he walked out of my life 3 years ago. My ex-boyfriend, Jack.
Hey Daydreamers, thanks for tuning in. If you are liking this story so far, let us know where you are listening from in the comments section and hit the subscribe and notification button so you don't miss any story uploads. Let's continue.
"Hey Leo," he said, voice still maddeningly calm. "Been a while." My blood turned electric. "Jack." He nodded. His face was still mostly shadowed, but I didn't need to see it fully. I know that voice anywhere. That cocky tilt to his head. That lean frame that filled out since I last saw him, but still moved like he owned every room. "What the hell are you doing?" I snapped, voice shaking. "You're not in danger." "Stop saying that." I yanked at the restraints around my wrists until pain shot up my arms. "You tied me up, Jack. You drugged me, or something, and dragged me to the middle of nowhere. How the hell is that not danger?" He had the audacity to lift one shoulder in a shrug. "Wasn't that one of your kinks?" I stared at him, speechless. The rage in my throat choked me. So did the heat curling low in my stomach. I hated that it was there. Hated that even now, bound and furious and humiliated, part of me wanted to kiss him again. He took a step forward. Not too close. Close enough. "Untie me," I said, each syllable sharp as a knife. "Now." "I will," he said, "but you need to listen to me first." I narrowed my eyes. "I'm serious," he continued, lowering to a crouch. His voice dropped. "You were in danger, Leo. I found out from someone I trust. I couldn't reach out through the usual channels. Everything's tapped, watched. I did the only thing I knew would work. So you kidnapped me? I saved you. No. You took away my choices. You tied me up. You kissed me. Would you come if I asked? My mouth slammed shut. Yell my gaze. You'd have hung up, blocked me, and you'd be dead by now. I hated that his voice didn't shake. I hated that he sounded like he believed it. You don't get to do this, I whispered. He looked at me like I had broken something inside him. Something that never healed. I didn't want to, he said quietly. But I'm not going to lose you. Not again. And there it was. That look, the one I used to crave, the one that used to make me feel like I was the only thing that mattered to him. The same look he gave when his chest was full of words he couldn't bring himself to say. When he wanted to tell me he loved me, but his ego got in the way, and all I got was that smoldering, unreadable stare. Now I wanted to wipe it off his face. He didn't get to look at me like that. Not after tearing my heart to pieces without a single explanation. It was so hard getting over him. I'd lie in bed and see his face behind my eyelids. Those dark, impossible eyes that always held a joke just waiting to be told. That mouth tilted in a permanent challenge. The ache in my chest still felt like it might tear me open. He'd show up in my memories uninvited, bold as ever, as if he had every right to live inside me long after he'd vanished. Now he was standing here, breathing the same air, and I hated how it felt. He sat on the floor across from me now, back to the wall, watching me in silence. My hands were still bound, though he'd loosened the zip ties after a tense moment. My ankles too, just enough slack to keep the pain from setting in, but not enough to run. Not that I could run. Not when my legs still trembled from the adrenaline. We hadn't spoken since his last words. I'm not going to lose you again. The fire crackled. The cabin creaked like it was holding its breath. And Jack just stared at me. Not like a captor. Not like a lover. Like something in between. I tore my eyes away, heart still hammering. I didn't want to remember. Didn't want to fall back into that space where he had meant everything. But my mind didn't care. It never had. We met in college. Not in a meet-cute way. There was no magical first glance across a crowded room. We were both shoved onto the same volunteer cleanup crew during campus orientation week. I was there for extra credit. He was there because he'd missed his work-study paperwork deadline. We hated each other instantly. He was cocky, loud, always had a joke, always knew the fastest way to piss someone off. I told him to shove it before we even made it to our first trash pickup. He laughed like I amused him. Leo, right? He said, offering his hand like we hadn't already verbally sparred for 20 minutes. You've got the rage of a pit bull, but the eyes of a sad golden retriever. I didn't shake it. He followed me around for 3 days like it was his personal mission to get under my skin. We argued, traded barbs, made each other late for shifts. And then, on day 4, he kissed me in a supply closet. And from there we hit it off. It shouldn't have worked. We were too different. I was careful, controlled, someone who didn't let people in. He was reckless, warm, impossible to ignore, the kind of danger that pulls you closer even when you know you shouldn't. And still, we couldn't stay apart. What started as a game, a clash of wills, became something else entirely. Our connection was magnetic, thrilling in a way that left every other part of the world blurry. Days became nights where we couldn't stop talking, laughing, stealing moments that felt too intense to be real. He became a pull I couldn't resist, and I fell fast, fully, completely. He used to sneak into my apartment at 2 a.m. just to climb into bed behind me and breathe against the back of my neck like I was his anchor. He'd whisper stories half asleep. About his childhood, his broken relationship with his father, the trouble he'd been in before college saved him from himself. I let him in, all the way in. He said I was the only person who ever looked at him like he was more than charm. And then, one morning, he was gone. No warning, no goodbye, just an empty bed, a phone that rang once before disconnecting, and a hole in my chest where he used to sleep. For a year, I held out hope. Then I got angry. And now, 3 years later, he was sitting across from me like nothing had changed. I need you to talk to me, I said, finally breaking the silence. Jack blinked, pulling himself out of whatever memory he was lost in. I'm listening, he said. No, you're not. You're watching me. Like you expect me to just fall apart and forgive you because you showed up with a warm cabin and some bullshit story about danger. His jaw flexed. Leo, don't say my name like that. His voice lowered. Like what? Like it still means something to you. His mouth opened, closed. I looked away first. The fire cast gold and orange across the room, shadows flickering over his face. He looked older, yes. Sharper, like life had carved its story into him with something serrated. There were faint lines at the corners of his eyes, a little stubble on his jaw. He was beautiful, still, and I hated it. I hated how he made my chest ache just by sitting there. Hated how my body remembered him without permission. "You left me," I said finally, voice soft but sharp. "And now you're here with duct tape and rope and some fantasy about saving me. You don't get to pretend like you're the hero." "I never said I was," he said quietly. "Then what are you?" His eyes met mine. "Desperate," he said. The word hit harder than it should have. "You could have sent a message. Called. Anything." I couldn't. "Why?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he stood, crossed the room to the fireplace, tossed another log on. His shoulders were tense, hands clenched. "I made mistakes," he said at last. "I trusted someone I shouldn't. Got involved in things I didn't understand. People got hurt. I got scared. And I ran." "Bullshit." He turned slowly. "I ran," he said again, "because if I stayed, they would have come for you." I want to call him a liar. Wanted to hold on to my fury because it was the only thing that kept me upright. But something in his voice. "You expect me to believe that you ghosted me to protect me?" "No, I expect you to hate me. But I had to try. I had to make sure you were safe. And I had to see you again." "Why now?" "Because they're back. And they know your name." The room suddenly felt colder. What kind of trouble did he get himself into? No, he wasn't the type to be mixed up in anything shady. That didn't fit him at all. So what was his game here? I couldn't figure it out. "You're lying," I said to him. "I wish I were." His response was of certainty that left no room for doubt. Silence hung heavy between us. He stepped closer. I tensed but didn't move. "I didn't bring you here to trap you," he said. "I brought you here to protect you. And maybe because I'm selfish. Because 3 years without seeing your face felt like dying by inches." My breath caught. Jack's hand moved, slow and tentative. He didn't touch me, just hovered near my shoulder, waiting. "Let me go," I whispered. "I will. Just not yet." His fingers brushed mine. And even then, even after everything, I didn't pull away. The snow had started falling sometime during the night. Big, lazy flakes drifted past the single window in the cabin like ash from a dying star. Jack was across the room again, pacing. Every so often he'd glance at me, like he wanted to say something. Like he was waiting for me to say something first. I didn't. I couldn't. Not yet. The memory of his fingers brushing mine wouldn't leave me. It clung to my skin like the scent of him still clung to the air. I hated how my body remembered the shape of him, the warmth, the weight of those hands on me. 3 years might as well have been 5 seconds with how quickly that pull roared back to life. But I didn't trust it. I didn't trust him. And still, I couldn't stop staring. "Do you want something to eat?" he asked, finally breaking the silence. I blinked at him. He was already moving to the small kitchenette in the corner, opening a cabinet. The question shouldn't have made my chest ache, but did, because he used to do that all the time. Feed me, fix me, make me feel like I mattered without ever having to say it. I hated how easily he fell back into the rhythm of us. I was still sitting on the floor, back against the couch now, arms free but sore, ankles loose but stiff. My legs were curled beneath me, like I was trying to protect myself from something. I wasn't sure what anymore. The pain? The memory? Him. Jack moved through the kitchen in a rhythm that made me ache. Every movement was so familiar. The way he opened cabinets without hesitation, leaned on the counter while he waited for something to heat up, humming softly under his breath. He hadn't asked me anything since he loosened the restraints. Hadn't pushed. Hadn't even tried to explain further. He just gave me distance, but not too much. Like he knew exactly how far away he needed to be, so I didn't bolt, but close enough that if I looked up, I'd see him there. Solid. Steady. The worst part? I did look. Over and over, I kept stealing glances at him like a fucking idiot. Watching the way the muscles in his back shifted beneath that worn hoodie. Watching his hair fall in his eyes when he leaned forward to stir the pot on the stove. Watching his profile when he exhaled and rubbed the back of his neck, like he'd been holding tension there for years. And maybe he had. My thoughts drifted again, traitorous and vivid. The last time I touched him wasn't supposed to be the last time. I didn't know we were saying goodbye. If I had, hell, I don't even know what I would have done differently. Held on tighter? Asked more questions? Told him I loved him. I didn't tell him that night. I almost did. We were both tired. School had been hell that week. Finals looming. We were sniping at each other over everything. His laundry, my early class schedule, the fact that he never bought enough groceries. He slammed the fridge door and muttered something under his breath. I snapped and told him to grow the hell up. That he was impossible. That I couldn't keep up with him, couldn't read him, couldn't figure out whether he was in this for real or just playing house. He turned on me like he was ready to throw another fight into the mix, but then something changed. Instead of yelling, he crossed the room in 2 strides and grabbed my face. "You drive me insane," he whispered, voice tight with frustration and something else, something molten. "You make me want to scream." And then he kissed me. Hard, deep, like he wanted to tear the anger out of both of us with his mouth. We didn't make it to the bedroom. We ended up on the floor, tangled in sweatshirts and bad timing. I remember the way his hands shook, how his breath stuttered against my mouth. I remember thinking, this feels like goodbye, but I didn't say it. He didn't either. And then, the next morning, he was gone. Soup. His voice yanked me back to the present. I looked up, and there he was, holding out a steaming bowl, his eyes searching my face like he was looking for a yes before I'd even answered. "What is it?" I asked, my voice hoarse. "Chicken and rice. I remember it used to be your favorite." It had been. He brought it over and crouched beside me. "You need to eat," he said gently. "You're still pale." "You tie me up?" I muttered. "I know," and kissed me. His lips twitched, but not with a smirk this time. Something softer, almost regretful. "Would it help if I apologized?" "Depends," I said, slowly, "on whether you mean it." "I do." I stared at the spoon he offered. I didn't want to take it. Didn't want to let him take care of me like he used to. Because if I did, if I let even one brick fall, everything would come down with it. But my stomach betrayed me with a low, angry rumble. I took the spoon. We sat there in silence while I ate. He didn't hover, didn't try to touch me again. He just stayed beside me, warm and still, letting the moment stretch. Halfway through the bowl, I asked without thinking, "Why did you kiss me?" He didn't look at me. "You were screaming." I was terrified. "I know." "Then why do something like that?" He ran a hand through his hair, without a breath. "Because I've spent 3 years pretending I didn't want to. And seeing you like that, alive, furious, beautiful, it undid me. I couldn't help it." I blinked at him. "That's not an excuse." "It's not, but it's the truth." Something in my chest cracked, and before I could stop myself, I whispered, "You didn't say goodbye." He turned to me fully then, eyes wide, wet. "I couldn't," he said. "If I'd looked at you one more time, I wouldn't have gone, and you would have been the crossfire." I swallowed hard, my hands clenched in my lap. "I hated you," I whispered. "I hated me too." The silence stretched again, but this time it wasn't cold. He shifted a little closer. "Can I touch you?" I looked at him and nodded. His hand came to rest gently against my cheek. Warm, steady grounding. I closed my eyes. For a second, the ache eased. Jack sat across from me again, cross-legged on the rug, watching the fire. "I know you still have questions," he said after a while. "Amongst other things, I'm feeling like anger, confusion, and more anger," I muttered. He nodded, like he expected that. "But I will settle for answers for now," I finally said. He looked at me then. "Okay, ask away. How did you get yourself involved in something so dangerous that you had to disappear? I don't get it. That was not your crowd." He didn't answer right away. Instead, he leaned forward, elbows on his knees, fingers laced. He stared into the fire like it held something he needed. "Do you remember Ray Calder?" I blinked. "From campus." He nodded. "He recruited me." I frowned. "For what?" "A private security firm. Off-the-book stuff. Not quite mercenary, but not above board either. I thought it was a one-time job. A way to make quick cash. You and I were barely scraping by." My stomach turned. "Jack, I thought it was going to be one job, but then it turned into something else. I got pulled deeper than I meant to, and then when I tried to back out, they threatened to go after the people I cared about. Me, you." I set the bowl down carefully, my hand starting to tremble. "You could have told me." "I wanted to. I wrote a letter. Burned it. Tried again. I didn't trust anyone. Didn't know who was watching. I figured if I disappeared, they'd leave you alone. You thought I'd be okay just wondering if you were dead?" He winced. "No, but I knew if I said goodbye, I'd never leave. You wouldn't have let me leave." My chest cracked open again. "I loved you," I whispered. He looked at me like I'd stabbed him. "I still do," he said, so quietly it felt like a secret. I sucked in a breath, every nerve in my body screaming at me. "I hate that I want to believe you. I hate that I made you doubt it." He moved then, slowly, carefully, crawling across the rug like he was approaching a wounded animal. I didn't stop him. He sat beside me, so close our knees brushed. "Can I?" he asked, reaching toward my hand. I nodded once. His fingers slipped into mine. Warm, solid, too familiar. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was full of every word we didn't say, every touch we hadn't dared, every broken piece we both still carried. When I finally looked at him, he was already watching me. "You shouldn't have come back," I whispered. He winced before answering. I know. You still kiss me like you had the right. I didn't, but I wanted it so badly I forgot how to stop myself. I didn't pull away. He leaned in, just rested his forehead against mine. Our breath mingled. Our hearts beat between us like a shared secret. And I thought, maybe this is the last time I'll ever let him touch me. But deep down, I already knew it wouldn't be. We didn't move for a long time after Jack's forehead pressed against mine. Our breaths synced. The weight of his hand in mine was grounding and unbearable all at once. I didn't know how to untangle what I felt. Part of me wanted to curl into his chest and fall asleep for a week. Part of me wanted to scream. And underneath all of that was want. A raw, gnawing need I hadn't let myself feel in years. Not for anyone. Not since him. I'd locked every part of myself away that used to open under his touch. Swallow my wants. Choked on my memories. I've been starving and pretending I was full. Until now. Until him. My head tilted slightly, and he raised his and stared at him, his eyes speaking and conveying all the emotions that he is currently feeling, and I'm sure mine mirrored his also. Then he leaned forward and his lips brushed mine like a question. I answered it by mouth, opening against his breath, catching when he pulled me in. This kiss was nothing like the first. That had been adrenaline, panic, memory colliding with need. This one was slow, deep, intentional. He kissed me like he was relearning the shape of my mouth, like he was apologizing without words, like he wasn't sure he'd ever get another chance. And I let him. I let him hold my face, trembling fingers at my jaw. Let him guide me back toward the rug in front of the fire. Let him climb into the heat with me. It had been 3 years. 3 years of silence, of distance. And now I was shaking. Still with me, he murmured against my throat. I nodded, breathless. His lips traced my jaw. Say it. I'm here. You want this? I grabbed his hoodie and pulled him closer. I want you. The sound he made, low, helpless, went straight through me. His mouth crashed back onto mine, hungry now, and I matched him beat for beat. Every kiss felt like confession. Every touch a promise. When he pulled away just long enough to look at me, his eyes roamed over my face like he was memorizing it all over again. You're still beautiful, he whispered. I didn't believe him, but I didn't stop him either. He kissed me again, harder this time. The kind of kiss that left you dizzy. That said mine without a word. We sank down together, legs tangled, his weight warm against me. Every shift, every brush of him lit sparks along my skin. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't frantic. It was reverent. His mouth found a place just beneath my ribs, the one he used to tease me about, and I gasped. You remembered, I whispered. I never forgot. Heat bloomed in my chest, spilling into every corner I thought I'd locked away. My fingers curled against his shoulders. His breath caught, rough and desperate, as he kissed me again, slower now, like he couldn't stop savoring. I missed you, I breathed. I know, I missed you more. And when we finally moved together, every press and pull felt like breaking and rebuilding all at once. My name on his lips was worship. His breath against my skin was prayer. And when I finally let go, it wasn't just release. It was grief, relief, forgiveness, love. We collapsed together in front of the fire, sweat cooling between us, breaths shallow. He tucked me under his arm like we were back in that tiny college apartment, like nothing had ever gone wrong. But everything had gone wrong. I turned to look at him. He was already watching me. The warmth in his gaze finally lured me to sleep. I didn't know how long I'd been asleep, only that I woke up warmer than I had in years. Body flush against Jack's, tangled beneath the blanket, skin against skin. His arm was draped over my waist like it belonged there. One leg tossed over mine, like we'd never untangled from each other at all. I hadn't even realized I was gripping his wrist until I moved my hand and felt the slow release of pressure. He stirred behind me, breath fanning across my neck. You're awake, he murmured, voice rough with sleep. Deep, familiar, barely. I shifted, not enough to pull away, just enough to feel his body against mine. The silence returned, but it wasn't heavy this time. It was soft, content. We lay like that for a long time, the low hum of the fire and our shared warmth the only things keeping the cold from pressing in again. Eventually, he said, I thought I was dreaming. I rolled to face him, one arm still tucked beneath the pillow. You're not. He looked down at me, expression unreadable. Then slowly, so slowly, he reached out and brushed a thumb across my cheek. I leaned into it before I could stop myself. I miss this, he whispered. My chest ached. You don't get to say that. His brow furrowed. Leo, you left. I didn't get a choice in missing you. He swallowed hard. I know. I'm not trying to pretend it didn't happen, but I missed this. You. His hand dropped to my chest, palm resting above my heart. You think I haven't replayed it 1,000 times? He said. Wish I could take it all back. I closed my eyes. You can't take it back. No, he moved closer. His thigh slid between mine. But I can give you something else. Now, if you want it. The tension between us shifted again, charged and quiet, electric. My voice dropped. Like what? Time, safety, love, all of it. Or just... He leaned in, brushing his lips against mine. Just this. The kiss deepened before I could decide. His hand slid into my hair, tugging gently as he pressed into me. Heat bloomed low in my stomach. I groaned into his mouth. You're gonna make me forget I hate you. He pulled back just far enough to smirk. You don't hate me. I didn't answer. Couldn't. Because his hands were already working down my chest, fingers tracing the same paths he'd taken hours ago, but slower now, more deliberate. I sucked in a breath as his thumb brushed my sensitive buds. I arched into the touch. You always were sensitive here, he murmured, ducking his head and letting his mouth follow the path. My hand gripped his shoulder. Jack! He kissed lower, his breath hot against my skin. Let me take care of you. This time I didn't argue. The second time was different. There was no desperation to it. No need to chase what we'd lost. This was about rediscovery. He mapped me with his mouth, slow and reverent. I let him. When he pressed me back into the couch cushions, hovering above me, I saw his eyes, dark, wide, and entirely focused on me. My breath caught. You still want this? He asked. God, yes. His mouth crashed into mine again, tongue sliding deep, hands gripping my hips. My body reacted instantly, arching, aching. I'd forgotten how it felt to be wanted like this. Needed. Our hips rolled together, the friction delicious and maddening. I felt him everywhere. He pulled away to strip his shirt, bearing the scars I hadn't noticed before. My fingers brushed across one near his ribs. What happened? He caught my hand, kissed the inside of my wrist. Later, he didn't let me dwell. He guided me back down, covering me with his body, his weight grounding and hot. The buildup was exquisite. Every touch carefully placed. Every kiss meant to drive me out of my mind. He teased, took his time, until I was trembling beneath him. You look so good like this, he whispered against my neck. Under me. Open. I let out a ragged breath. Don't stop. I won't. His hands held me like he was afraid I'd vanish. Like he was trying to memorize every angle, every sound I made. And I gave in. Completely. There was no part of me I held back. I came undone in his arms, moaning his name, body writhing beneath his, pleasure crashing through me like a tidal wave. Afterward, we lay breathless and spent, curled around each other like the years hadn't ever come between us. Jack stroked my back in slow, lazy motions. You're incredible, he murmured. I never stopped wanting you. I didn't respond. Not with words. I buried my face in his neck. I held him tighter, and when I finally found my voice, it was quiet. Don't make me regret this. I won't, he promised, lips brushing my temple. I want to believe you. Then let me keep showing you. Every day, his arms tightened. I'm not leaving again, Leo. No matter what's coming. My heart skipped. Something is coming, isn't it? He hesitated. Yeah, but I'm done running. I didn't answer, but I didn't let go either. The next time I woke up, it was to the smell of something sharp and savory wafting through the air. Garlic, maybe onions, the sizzle of something hitting a hot pan. My body ached in the soft, pleasant way it always did after sex, but my mind was already stirring with questions I hadn't asked. I pulled on a pair of sweatpants from the corner of the room, his hoodie from the night before, and padded out into the cabin's tiny kitchen area. Jack stood at the stove, shirtless, stirring a pan with easy familiarity. His back was to me, and the early morning light streaming through the windows caught on the curve of his shoulders, the long line of his spine. His dog tags clinked quietly as he moved. You cook now? I asked, voice still thick with sleep. He glanced back over his shoulder. A smile curved across his lips. Just enough to impress you. I'm already impressed. You kidnapped me, seduced me, and now you're making breakfast. He laughed. The holy trifecta. I took a seat on the edge of the couch, watching him move around the kitchen. This version of Jack, the domestic one, quiet and open in the daylight, was almost more disarming than the night before. You said something's coming, I said. My voice was quieter now, careful. What did you mean? Jack's smile faded. He turned the burner off and set the pan aside. Then he leaned both palms against the countertop, breathing in slow, measured breaths. I didn't just come back to see you, he said. Though God knows that would have been reason enough. Then why? He finally turned to face me, crossing the room until he stood right in front of me. He dropped down to the rug, kneeling so we were eye level. I left 3 years ago because I got caught up in something I couldn't get out of, he said. Private contracts. Shady money. People who don't like to be told no. You mentioned that before. I thought I could disappear, pay off my debt to them, and move on. He looked down, but they didn't let me. My stomach twisted. What are you saying, Jack? He raised his eyes to meet mine. They couldn't get hold of me, so they're coming after the only person I treasure. You. I froze, which is why I had to take you. Before they could. That's why you kidnapped me. My breath was shallow. To actually protect me? To keep you alive? You should have told me. I couldn't. They were monitoring everything. Phones, emails, any contact, and they would have seen it. I had to act fast. I stood then, pacing the floor. Jesus, Jack, you could have given me a damn clue. I thought you were unhinged. I thought this was some twisted revenge thing. He moved behind me, hands gently catching my waist but not holding. I know, he said. I know how it looked. I couldn't risk telling you too much. I still can't. I turned to face him. Are we safe now? His jaw clenched. For the moment. But I have to move again soon. My heart dropped. You're leaving? I don't want to. I can't want to. But staying puts you in danger. I shook my head. You just got back. You think I can survive losing you twice? You won't lose me. You're leaving. That's the same damn thing. His hands found my face, holding it like something delicate. I want you with me, he said. I blinked. What? Come with me. When I move, let me protect you properly. We'll be ghosts if we have to. Just be with me. My chest tightened. You're serious. I've never been more serious in my life. I stared at him. The man who shattered me. The man who saved me. The man who made me fall all over again in one night. I should have said no. Should have walked away. Should have protected my heart. But I didn't. Instead, I stepped forward. I slid my hands into his hair. I kissed him like I already belonged to him. And when I finally pulled away, I whispered the only word that made sense. Okay. His smile broke wide and real. He lifted me off the ground in a crushing hug, spinning us slightly before burying his face in my neck. Leo, he murmured, you won't regret this. I already don't. We kissed again, slow and certain. And for the first time, I let myself fall without trying to brace for the impact. Whatever was coming, we'd face it together. The end.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoy this story, share your enthusiasm in the comments section, and don't forget to hit the subscribe and notification button so you don't miss any story uploads. See you in the next one.